Welcome back to Olive Oil Drops, a podcast created by Marco Antonucci for all of you who want to know everything or almost everything about oil and olives. I'm Milena. In podcast 52, I explained what cultivars and varieties are. Then I discussed homonyms, toponyms, and macrogroups in which to categorize different cultivars. Describing and defining this genetic heritage is challenging even with complex DNA analysis. I also reminded the listener that while I always need to consider the planting location, the type of planting I need to work with, and the target market, more on this in podcast 9 if you want to go back to, I also have a wide choice of varieties available to meet requirements and work within the constraints placed upon me. It is important to remember that most varieties are self-sterile, meaning their pollen is viable and germinable, but it cannot fertilize the flower it comes from or that of plants belonging to the same cultivar. They will require interfertile pollinators that flower at the same time as the plants to be fertilized. I have strongly emphasized that, similar to other areas of fruit cultivation and viticulture, olive growing offers a choice between international, national, local, and once abandoned varieties. I've defined international cultivars as those capable of producing olives and yielding oil with consistent characteristics in geographically diverse areas. National cultivars are found in various Italian regions, and local cultivars are specific to more or less delimited areas. Abandoned cultivars are those no longer used because they are not profitable. In this and the next podcast, I will discuss international cultivars of European origin, analyzing some that, in my view, are significant in the world panorama. Obviously, the list is not complete or exhaustive and is aimed solely at understanding the topic. That is what is meant by cultivars with an international vocation. Let me therefore begin with the queen of this group, the Picual. It is native to Andalusia, Spain, and is considered robust and easily adaptable to difficult climatic and geographic conditions. A plant that is very cold resistant and can withstand temperatures well below zero without sustaining damage can be considered robust. Or, if we want to simplify even further, even if not entirely correct, we could say that a plant is robust when it can withstand severe temperature changes and prolonged drought and is able to thrive in any type of soil. In addition to these properties that make it transplantable in virtually any area that has even a slight vocation for olive growing, Picual reacts quickly to pruning through adventitious shoot regeneration. Picual is vigorous, usually cultivated with several trunks that emerge from the ground to raise their treetops, short branches with elliptic lanceolate green, shiny, medium-sized leaves. However, its biggest advantage is that particular clones have very high yields, up to 28%, even though the olives, elliptically shaped, are medium-sized, between 2 to 4 grams. Moreover, it has a fast and constant entry into production and early ripening. It is self-fertile. Its pollen cannot fertilize the oval flowers of the same plant, nor those of other individuals of the same variety, and therefore requires pollinators such as manzanilla or ovo di piccione. Olive oil made from Picual has an average a high phenolic content, and oleic acid can reach 80% of the total fatty acids. Only less than a quarter of the harvested Picual olives in the world are processed into virgin or extra virgin olive oil, but this is changing, especially with an increase in oil sold in bottles, not just in tanks as in the past. Also, the quality is increasing and the cultivar continues to win awards in international competitions. Although the vast majority of Picual olives are grown in Andalusia because of its enormous adaptability to different geographical and climate contexts, high yields, fast and constant entry into production, high level of polyphenols and oleic acid, and absence of seed patent, it has been exported all over the world, including Italy. More on this in an upcoming podcast, and thrives in places as diverse as New Zealand, Egypt, California, and not least Uruguay, where it excels as a cultivar in new plantations. This is the reason why Picual is the universal olive variety. In fact, we can say that 30% of the world's oil produced from olives in the last 6-7 years comes from Picual. I emphasize oil made from olives because, as I mentioned earlier, only a quarter of the harvested Picual is processed into virgin or extra virgin olive oil, while the rest is used for the production of refined oils or table olives. The second most widespread cultivar internationally also comes from Spain. It is called Arbequina and is native to Catalonia. It owes its name to the town of Arbeca. Arbequina produces roughly 10% of the world's olive oil. Like Picual, Arbequina is robust variety, but with marked tolerance to salinity, allowing it to be planted anywhere, even by the sea. It has a very high rooting capacity. It develops roots quickly, which is crucial in the production of new plants by cuttings. It enters into production early, has high and constant productivity, and high oil content. It is self-fertile. Pollen can fertilize the ovals of flowers of the same variety and therefore does not need pollinators. All these aspects, together with average attachment resistance and low vigor, have made it the variety of choice for intensive and super intensive plantations. It is widespread not only through Spain but also in Australia, Argentina, California, Chile, France, Morocco, Portugal, Tunisia, and also in Italy, just like Picual. The oil made from Arbequina has a high oleic acid content. It is quite aromatic, but not very bitter and pungent, due to the fact that it contains a high percentage of polyunsaturated fatty acids and a low level of polyphenols. Due to these characteristics, olive oil made from Arbequina has low resistance to oxidation and is less stable compared to oil made from different cultivars. There is also the third most common cultivar in Spain, Hojiblanca. It is believed to be from Córdoba. Hojiblanca's name is due to the color of its leaves, which have a slight tint of white at the tip. The fruit is round and its size is larger than average, with a pit-pulp ratio of 8:1. These characteristics, together with a low oil content and an average phenolic content, make it very suitable for the production of table olives. Oil yield is around 18 to 19%, and the oleic acid fraction is higher than 70%. The plant is very robust and has high resistance to both drought and cold. These properties have made it popular among olive growers, especially in large plantations without irrigation or weather protection. The oil made from Hojiblanca usually has a sweet entry point that closes on the finish with a bitter aftertaste. Arbosana is a cultivar with fairly high and constant productions, very early and fast entry into production. Its low vigor, pretty high oil content, and late ripening make it very attractive for intensive cultivation through the olive growing world. Not surprisingly, it is found in Argentina, Chile, France, Italy, Portugal, Tunisia, South Africa, and America. Staying in the Iberian Peninsula, I need to mention Cobra Cosa, the Portuguese cultivar. It is mostly present in the interior and northern areas of the state due to the fact that it is resistant to cold but intolerant to heat and drought. Cobra Cosa has constant and medium to high productivity and an easy detachment of the fruit from the plant, characteristics that make it increasingly present in the new super intensive farming with fully mechanized harvesting. The olives are medium-sized, producing oils with hints of tomato leaves and both sweet and green almonds. Oils made from Cobra Cosa olives almost always have pronounced bitterness and pungency due to a high level of polyphenols. Crossing the geographic border of the Iberian Peninsula, we arrive in Provence. area with a vocation for olive growing, from which Picholine, the most widespread cultivar in France, originates. It also has a considerable presence in Morocco, Israel, Chile, and the United States. It is of medium vigor, partially self-fertile, meaning it partially pollinates itself and accepts pollen from other plants such as the chino, for example, has open carrying foliage and generally pendulous fruiting branches. It has large elliptic lanceolate light green leaves. The olives are medium to large in size and have an elongated episodial shape. They are mostly used for the production of green table olives, partially due to the fact that pulp comes off the stone pit easily. Picholine olives are often processed, as discussed in podcast 41, while retaining some spiciness and bitterness, making them ideal as cocktail olives. Not surprisingly, they are one of the most popular variety used by bartenders around the world. Oil yield is quite high, especially in dry weather conditions. Oils have the aroma of the green meadow and garden vegetables. If you wish to ask us questions, you can do so either by email, oliveoildrops@gmail.com, website www.oliveoildrops.com, where you can also find the text of this podcast or a comment space of the podcast platform you have been using and to which you can subscribe free of charge. Thank you for tuning in today.